Now, for the past couple of weeks, I've been working on a review of the Ankerwork M650 to see how it can work for you. Bit of a mouthful there, but what is the Ankerwork M650? Well, it is a 2 transmitter, 1 receiver wireless microphone kit that's available for £250, and it packs some awesome features. I mean, for Anker's first attempt at this, they have completely knocked it out of the park. Now, not only is it selling for a fantastic price, it's also regularly getting discounts already. There's always £30 vouchers for it on Amazon, and I can imagine they're probably going to quite aggressively price it on Prime days and stuff like that. Now, it's got a bunch of features like a really cool charging case, which powers these little transmitters for 6 hours, and then I think it charges it for an additional 6 hours as well. So pretty much all day battery life. It's also got internal recording as well, which is an absolute must for anyone that has ever, been in a busy area or had wireless dropouts with a 2.4 gig wireless system. Now, I could have made a really quick 6-minute advert review that's just basically made to make you buy the thing. Doesn't tell you about any of the cons on it and is all just being super positive. But I think it's very important with microphone systems like this to do a wide range of tests. So there are timestamps for everything today. We're going to be doing range tests, distance tests. I'm going to show you how you properly gain stage it with your camera. I'm going to show you all the app features that it's got as well, how you transfer all the recordings. Everything is going to be covered in this video today. Timestamps below. Let's go. The Ankerwork M650 comes in a really nice package. Not really loads of information on it, just a nice picture of it, and it's got this nice magnetic connector to get you into it. So there is essentially in here a accessory box, and then you get the charger. This other little one's just a padding. So firstly, let's open the accessory box, see what is included. So we get this first box here, which has our covers in. Now, there is only one color cover of each. I don't know if they are selling these separate yet. I am hoping that they start to sell spare accessories for this, but there is one that is kind of a green, which might be hard to see there with all my lights. And then there is a gold color as well. And you get different colors. I think with the white one, it comes with purple and something else, but it would have been nice to see 2 of each in there. There is also let's have a little look here, a USB-C to USB-C charging cable. Nice. So this is probably the weakest accessory. It's just a very cheap looking 3.5mm cable. I've actually been using a Rode cable for this entire video. And then there is, which I'll show you how they clip on in a minute, there are 2 dead cat filters. And you'll see there's also an additional bit of foam. Now, when you use these, I would recommend boosting the high frequencies just a little bit. Start from about between 10 and 12k and just add in a little high shelf, anywhere between 2 or 4 dB. If you've got quite a deep bassy voice, then I would add in a little bit more high frequency boost there, because these wind muffs will take those high frequencies away, and it just makes you sound a little bit less natural. So here is the charging case then. Now, it's got a 26 milliamp hour battery built into it. It does charge fairly quick. This is a black and gold sort of style. I don't know, I imagine that the one that comes with the white one would probably be a white and gold. Flip it open and there we go. There is the Ankerwork M650, the transmitter, and a couple of extra little accessories, which I'll show you in a second. I really wish that they made this a bit bigger though, and put a little flip case on the bottom so you could put your accessories in there. I think that would have been a really nice touch. I've seen other couple of reviewers mention that as well. So you get the 2 transmitters and 1 receiver. We'll look at the receiver in a minute. Really nice. I really love the style of this. This logo is very discreet. I wish it wasn't there at all, or if they just included one of these which didn't have one on. I'd really like to see you sell them, because anyone that use this kind of stuff for like social media and companies, they don't want to see those big Rode logos or DJI logos. It's all in a black and gold finish. So we've got the microphone capsule in here, omnidirectional, and then there is a 3.5mm input as well for plugging in lavaliers. The side button is mute and power on. So there you can see red now, it's muted. If I hold it down, it should power off. Now, there's a couple of extra things you can do with this button as well. You can actually set it in the app so it doesn't do anything, which I absolutely love, because when you're putting these on people and they're maybe, putting it on the side of them, that could be a little bit of a pain. Now, one of my favorite features about this is the included magnetic clips. These are ridiculously strong. Like the beanie that you would see me wearing in this video, even when it's folded back, these magnets still go. So like big coats, it's not going to do the biggest puffer jackets, but all stuff like that, they do hold really well. Like the ones that came with the Godox mic that I just had, they were dreadful. And you can see here there's a little thing to twist it there, take it off, and then just line it up and twist it back on. There we go. So you get two of these. Battery's good for, I believe, 6 hours, but just love this form factor. Absolutely love it. That's also worth mentioning when you unbox these as well. There are little stickers on here, so make sure you remove those because otherwise it won't charge. And this is the receiver. I absolutely love the receiver. There's a power button on the side here, USB-C as well if you just want to charge it additionally about, and then there is the 3.5mm output, and then you get these two awesome little accessories. So what you can do here, you just put that in, twist it, turn it, and there we go. So there is a iOS connection, and there is also a USB-C connection as well. Plug this into the MacBook, works straight away, sees it as an audio input device. That being said, there is a big con to this. Let me just zoom out and I'll show you what it is. And that is when you plug it into a camera, there is no way to plug it in that way. It doesn't go in the hot shoe connector. So you can't see the front of this display when you're using it with a camera. You can only see it from the back. So there's a couple of ways that you can get around this. I'll show you something really cool here. So this little connector here adds us a bunch of hot shoes. This is from Newer. You can get these off Amazon fairly cheap. Let me just zoom right out there. And what this is going to allow is us to plug this in the front. Now it does look a little bit janky, but look at this. Oh, like a glove. You can then add in something like the Rode Video Mic Go, and then you can have a shotgun microphone and plug it into one of these, and then you can also have one on you. So it's actually quite a cool little accessory. Now another cool accessory here, this is a Lanzi MT33 as well. So guess what? You can plug it into here like this, and this is really cool. So it spins, so you can see it either way. You can always just make sure that everything's on and monitoring, but you can see it on the camera screen anyway, but it's just a bit of a con the way that they design this. Right, over to the menu then. So you can swipe right and that gets you into transmitter 1. Here you can trigger internal recordings and you can also change the gain, but I'm going to talk about this a little bit more when we do the camera setup in a second, but you can go to -15 all the way up to +15. It goes in 3 dB steps, okay? You can also then press these 3 little dots here and it will show you how much you've got left of your internal recording. So it can record up to 450 minutes and you can see I've got 11 files on here. Annoyingly, you can't change the high pass filter. You can only do that in the app, and it's the same the other side for TX2. Just swipe over and that's essentially gets you what you need. Now, if you swipe up from the bottom, this is quite cool because you can actually trigger mute. Probably see both of these have just turned red now, and you can trigger record at the same time, both of them. So I really love that, and I love that you can set the recording on here. I really don't like on the DJI mic that you have to turn it on. Well, there's basically there's a recording button on the little transmitters, because again, we're talking about people mistakenly pressing stuff and you losing stuff. Now, if you swipe up from the top, you get the options for noise reduction and soundtrack as well. So you go into noise reduction, that is low and high, and we are testing both of these later on in the video. And if you go to soundtrack, you can change it to mono or left-right stereo. Left-right records both of these 2 separate channels, meaning you can isolate the audio separately. This is really needed if you're going to be using these indoors as well, because they're omnidirectionals. The other microphone is going to be picking you up and adding more room noise. Mono records both of them to the same track. Now, I do believe when you plug this into an iPhone as well, it's just mono only. Worth noticing that. Now, you press the 3 dots again. There's also a safe mode, which triggers one of these to record at 6 dB less. So if you had both on, but I'm going to show you in a minute why you don't really need it. You then have aux low and aux high. So aux low is a low output and aux high is more for headphones. So you can see here, because the one feature that I was super happy about is that it's got a dB level meter. But I was a bit concerned about it, thinking that it wasn't reading properly, because you can see here my gain is set to -15 dB and +15 dB on the receivers. Doesn't matter if I do it in mono or stereo, the audio levels are staying the same. There's a 30 dB difference set on here, so it shouldn't be doing that. So I contacted Anker, and what they let me know is that this gain here is input gain. Basically, what you're seeing on screen here is the input gain for the receivers. So this is just its input before you've adjusted any of this. So that's all it's going to show. Now this does kind of work a bit if you're plugging in like a shotgun microphone or a lavalier. The gain, you will see some difference on the meters, but when you're using these two, they stay exactly the same. Now another thing is worth mentioning as well is that when you record internally, there's actually a 15 dB attenuation. So even this one now with the plus 15 dB, if I open the recording, chances are it's not going to be clipped, because generally when you're at 0 dB, the recording comes in at about minus 30 dB. So that's just some things that I think is worth mentioning that nobody else took the time to show you and explain. So what you need to see this gain as is more as output gain. So this is the gain that we're going to output, and this gain would also be adding to your recordings. Once you purchase this and you test it, you'll see what I mean. So if you're recording with this one, you know, into your computer, you'll see that these plus and 15 dB steps do apply, but these are really hard to clip. I've like almost shouted into the end of these and I'm getting quite loud there, and you can see it's going in the red a little bit, but the gain, you know, if you're here and talking quite loud there, you can still see that on the transmitter the gain has stayed fairly low. Okay then, so what we need to do now is set our levels. So ideally you always want to set your camera preamp as low as you can go, because camera preamps are pretty bad and there's bad hits. I would always recommend that you just use the internal recording anyway, but as you can probably see here, we're not really getting that much gain in. We've got one set to minus 9 dB and another one set to 0 dB. So this is where we're going to increase our output gain from here to give us a good signal until we get, you know, good gain coming in. I'm going to go plus 9 dB. And you can see that there, that's getting me peaks between, you know, minus 20 and minus 12. A lot of people say you need to do minus 6. Minus 6 does not leave you enough headroom. You could then just turn the preamp up a little bit if you wanted to bring the gain up. You know, on a Sony camera, going up to like 5 or 6 isn't that bad, but it's just going to generate more hiss into your camera. So it's just about gain staging correctly. But like I said, always record internal and use your internal recording. It just sounds better. At the beginning of the video, I'm using the internal recording. It sounded way better than what was going into the ZV-E10. So I wanted to talk about using these with lavaliers. So here we've got the Rode Wireless Go, and I can just plug that in. I'm just going to blow on the end of that there. Yeah, we've got some signal coming in. So as you can see there, talking into the end of a Rode Wireless Go works absolutely fine. This was where I ran into a little issue, and this was with Sennheiser lavaliers, and I've got a fix for you. The problem is the pin layout doesn't quite match up. It's actually supplying enough voltage, but if you can see there now, I'm now talking into the end of the lavalier and it's not even moving at all. Okay, and I was literally hogging that. So what you actually need is, and I'll link in the description, this little adapter here, which takes a MK signal into 3.5. There's nothing really wrong with the pin layouts here. It's just that this pin is just a little bit too short. So just plug that in, screw that on. And I purchased this microphone dirt cheap, even though it's quite an expensive microphone. And now you can see on the end there, now that I'm speaking into the MKE1, okay? So you could use MKE1s, MKE2s, you can get these really cheap off eBay. And that is how you make them work. And this would also work if you decide not to buy this would also work with DJI and Rode as well. Link to that in the description. So right now you're listening to the Ankerwork M650. You are listening to the internal recording on it with the built-in microphone, omnidirectional, indoors. This is what the microphone will sound like indoors. And you're now listening to the Rode Lavalier Go. This is a £50 lavalier microphone, and you are listening to how the Lavalier Go sounds indoors compared to the Ankerwork M650. And now you are listening to the Sennheiser MKE1. This is a £350 lavalier microphone using a £25 adapter. This is what a premium lavalier microphone will sound like plugged into the Ankerwork M650. But like I said, shop on eBay, you can get these absolutely dirt cheap. So firstly, how do you transfer files? Well, they both show up, both of the transmitters, as USB sticks. So you can see here's my recordings. These are the ones that I've been using today for the video. That's why there's more recordings in there. It doesn't label them left and right though, and I really wish that it would do that. I do find that a little bit annoying, but I think it just alternates the numbers. That's how it changes it all. So you can see we've got one there that says 34, 35, and you can just drag and drop, same as PC or Windows. But you can also connect them to the Ankerwork app, and this is where you can do some additional settings and set everything up. First thing I'd recommend to do is check for a firmware update. You can also factory restore the settings here as well, and you can just connect just the receiver if you want to factory reset that as well, and vice versa. Other than that, the app is pretty simple and easy to use. You can do things like adjust the gain, you can mute, you can set it so you can overwrite files when the storage is full up. You can also export them from here as well, and see them all and play them. Let it just load. There we can see all of our recordings, and we can play that as well. But the feature that I love the most for the transmitters is that you can change what you want the buttons to do. So I left them for mute so I could show you in the unboxing, but I want them set to none. I don't want them to do anything, so I'm going to set both my transmitters to do nothing, so then I'm not going to mistakenly mute the microphone when it's in use. Now over to the receiver, this is where you can turn on a few more things as well. So if you were going to be using this as a USB microphone, you can set it as low and high for your noise reduction and stuff. This is going to come in useful if you've got the receiver plugged in the back of your computer. If it's not just plugged into the side of your MacBook and you can't get to the settings, you can adjust everything in here. You can change it to left, right stereo. You can adjust the safe mode. There's also some EQ as well, but the bands aren't really where I'd like them to be. I would really like a 250 hertz region, because 250 hertz is very good on male voices to reduce a little bit of mud. If you were going to be going live with these and you were outdoors and you wanted to customize it on the app a little bit before you went, maybe add a little bit of that 10k, but I would stay away from the EQ, but still it's nice to be there. You can also then change the low pass filter as well. 75 hertz is default. I recommend you have that turned on, and you can crank it all the way up to 150 hertz, but you should really apply this afterwards. But 75 hertz just gets rid of a bit of that rumble and wind rustle. You can also change the backlight duration as well, and you can do the language. And that is pretty much it. There is the app. Really like it. I would have just loved to have seen them add the high pass to the actual unit. I would love to see them add that in firmware update. Maybe add a couple more bands on the EQ as well. So I've come down to Stratford upon Avon today with the Ankerwork M650 wireless microphone system. Now, if you've never been to Stratford before, it is the birthplace of Shakespeare, which I'm pretty sure is the guy that wrote The Hobbit. Not too sure if you wrote The Lord of the Rings, but anyway, it's been quite hard for me to get some footage today. The bit of the canal that I've got to walk down before I get myself home, there's a little bit too bright down there. I'm using the Sony ZV-1 today, so it's the first time I've used it, so I'm kind of play it safe, so I haven't got the most beautiful backdrop, and to be honest, I haven't really been here to see the sights anyway. What I've been here for is the snacks. As you can see here, I've been munching all morning. My mouth is also really dry from all the sugar that I've had, and I did have a drink, but I left it on a bench somewhere, which I feel really bad about. So I've walked back and it's not there. The bench was next to a bin, so hopefully someone's put that in the bin for me. But yeah, felt a bit bad for that one, and the mouth is a little bit dry. Now on the ZV-1, I've got it set to 1 on the microphone settings and +6 on the actual microphone system, and I am also recording this internally as well. Let's just do a little tour around me. I think as I turn this way now, the sun has gone under the clouds, so I can just show you a little bit of where I am. So there is some noise about, so let's test out the noise cancellation then. So I've just turned the noise reduction to low. Now this isn't the most noisiest part. If I go over there a little bit more, it's a bit noisier, but there's a lot of parents and kids there and stuff, so I don't want anyone thinking I'm a bit of a weirdo with a camera, although everyone looking over at me from over there definitely thinks I'm a weirdo with a camera. But this is the low noise reduction. So this is what the noise reduction is like on low, and this now is what the noise reduction sounds like on high. So this is the noise reduction set to high. This is what it's doing to my voice. This is what it sounds like with high noise reduction. I'm going to turn it off for a second so you can hear it off. And I thought for this video as well, I also wanted to test out a couple of other noise reductions as well. So this first one is the Apple noise reduction that's built into Apple, the new Mac OS X, and you can also use it as well on your through different doors and stuff. So I'll probably be using this through either Adobe Audition or Premiere, and I'll put the percentage of how much I'm using this noise reduction on here, because this is what I like about this, is that you've got a gradual slider. So now the next noise reduction that we're actually using, this is a paid one. This is called Waves Clarity VX. So again, I will put how much of a noise reduction that I am putting on it, but this is what it sounds like with Waves Clarity VX. reducing some of the background noise, but it's not super noisy here. But I would always recommend that you just remove any noise afterwards. So here we are with the Ankerwork M650 then. I am about 10 meters away at the moment. Got it plugged into the ZV-E10. I am recording internally as well, so if it cuts out whilst I'm talking backwards, I'll put a little thing up on the screen to show you that, that it cut out. But I'm hoping that it does have quite good range. I recently tested out the Godox MoveLink M2 down here, and it did do very well for the range as well. I don't think I'm going to be able to go quite to the 200 meters, but we'll see how it does. And yeah, I've just got the fluffy wind filter on it, and I'm talking quite close into it as well, so you can hear what it sounds more of a like in a interview subject if you're kind of passing it backwards and forwards to people. So I'm going to go another 10 meters. I'm going to turn around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm now about, I don't know, 20 meters, probably just past that. I'd say maybe almost 20, 25 meters away from the system. As long as it's picking me up from here, I'm pretty happy. I don't really think there's going to be a lot of instances that you need to go 200 meters away wireless. And also as well, the fact that it records internally, it doesn't really matter if it drops out, as long as you're syncing something at the beginning. So at the beginning of this video, I just did a little clap, so I know everything's going to be in sync to give me something on the time code. You're all good. But I'm going to turn around again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I am interested on, how it does for the wind. I'm about 30 meters away now, and there is a nice little breeze. It's not strong gusts, but yeah, there's definitely, a breeze coming out. How does the microphone sound? Am I still getting picked up? As I turn around, is it dropping out? Does it drop out as I turn around and back around again? And then I'll go another 10. 7, 8, 9, 10. So I've completely lost count, but I'm really far away from the camera now. I'd put it around the 40 to 50 meter range, maybe even a little bit further. This is the point where I start to sketch out if someone comes and steals my camera. Just purchased a Sony FX30, was going to bring it down today, but I'm not quite ready to be that far away from the FX30. Now on the ZV-E10, I've got the Sigma 18 to 50 millimeter on there, running it about f8 with an ND filter on. It's really hard to see the exposure with the sun up there, but this is 50 meters away. Let me just turn around. This is me now, still talking into the microphone at 50 meters. Now, one thing I would recommend if you were going to be using this as like a passing interview kind of style, if you were going to be interviewing people with it, is I'd definitely turn the side button on so it doesn't do anything, so it doesn't mute or stop the recording. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm pretty much back as far as we can go at the moment. I'm just going to turn around to see if it drops out at all. Just going to, go right back here, all the way back, and just see if it drops out. Turning back to face you now, all the way at the back, and then I'm just going to start walking back to you, because if it did drop out anywhere, we want to see exactly the range where it came back in. So what can we really talk about? FX30, man, I love the camera. Really love the camera, but I'm devastated because I put firmware 2.0 on it the second it came out, because I only got it a week ago anyway, because it was a new firmware update, and it's broke gyro stabilization and catalyst browse. So when you go to stabilize it, it just goes completely black. So yeah, I did plan to use it for the intro for this video today to see what it was like outdoors, but yeah, I'm gonna have to wait till catalyst browse gets an update. But ZV-E10 still a solid camera, still recommend it for anyone wanting to get into vlogging, and I'd fully recommend the Ankerwork M650 as well. So I should be getting back close to the camera now. I can feel better, don't feel so stressed. It's within arm's reach, because I can't run. If somebody came and got my camera from 20 meters away, it's gone. I ain't running after them. I'm not even gonna bother. I wouldn't even try. It would just be something that has to get written off. Anyway, there we go. Ankerwork M650, range test over. Let's get back to the studio. Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video, or you've just skipped through and seen the bits that you've wanted, but you've still come back to see me at the end of the video. So you can hear about the pros and the cons, and should you buy this wireless microphone system. So let's get down to the meat and potatoes of this. I think it's best to start with the cons first. So the first con is the range. The range is not as good as the Godox that I used a couple of weeks ago. I do apologise that I didn't have the pair of them together at the same time to compare them, but the range wasn't as good. And I even noticed even when I was stood at 10 meters, there was the odd little crackle, but I think that might have come down a lot to maybe the way I was cupping it in my hand as well, which was affecting it a bit. But I've watched a few other videos and I wouldn't say that the range on this works as well as something like the Godox, the DJI or the Rode. But that being said, it does have internal recording, which I think you should always use anyway, because it just sounds cleaner than what goes into your camera. Although you could say that this adds more time to editing and all of that stuff, it's really simple to transfer the files, and in Premiere Pro it's literally just 2 clicks, put the clips near each other, right click them, synchronize audio, done. Pretty much same process in Final Cut, in DaVinci Resolve. It's really easy to do. And for me as well, as long as you can get maybe 10 or 15 meters away, that's good enough. I can't see any instance where you're ever going to be doing like 200 meter or 100 meter wireless transmission with something like this. So as for the other cons, the 3.5mm cable, really didn't like that. And then the way that the hot shoe connects to the camera, so you can't see it, you know, face on and see that it's all still on and that everything's still working. Like I said, you can probably see your audio meters on your cameras, but people that were going to be pairing this for stuff that might not show the audio meters or maybe doesn't show them as well. And I suppose another con is sound quality. The sound quality is okay. I would say it's pretty good. It's not as good as DJI and it's not as good as Rode, but to be honest, I don't think any of them sound that good anyway, and I always think that you should use a lavalier microphone if you can. I think you can always see past the shortcomings of the sounds for the flexibility that it adds for you, and just, you know, they're just really useful pieces of kit, and I can't believe it's took me so long to start looking at these and using them and figuring out ways that I can use them. Let's talk about the pros then. Really nice charging case. You've got all the connectors in there. These just snap into place. You've got all the magnetic, you know, attachments here. Look, shaking that, it's not going to go anywhere. And like I said earlier in the video, these are really strong magnets. Love all the settings that you can do actually on the device. I love that they've not excluded too much stuff to just an app, and the fact that you can just trigger recording as well on the actual unit. That's a game changer. What I don't ever want is someone accidentally pressing these and turning off recording, because I'm always going to use the internal recordings. The form factor, I really love it. The build quality, the fact that the logo is, you know, fairly discreet on there. You know, by the time you come back to something like this and you're watching it on a smaller screen, it pretty much disappears and it blends in. You can plug lavaliers into them as well, so that's another massive pro. It's really quick to charge as well. When I actually did the test down in the park, I took it down there and it must have run flat. I don't know if it's because I had the lid open on it or something like that beforehand, but I checked everything for my kit bag, everything that I needed, all my batteries, everything, but I forgot to check that the Ankerwork was charged. So then I came back here and within an hour I had the whole thing pretty much fully charged. I just took one of the transmitters out to make it a bit of a quicker charge. So everything that it comes with, really good. What would I change about the Ankerwork M650 then? Either accessories, software, feature sets, you know, what would I actually change about it? I think I said from a software standpoint, I'd love to see the high pass filters and just a couple of those extra features added to the receiver unit for a software update. Maybe make a little tweak to the sound as well. I just think there's a little bit of improvements that can be done there, or even just add in a high frequency boost as well. Add that as an option. So you'd have your high pass filter taking out the low signals, but also a high frequency boost for when you're using it with the furry wind filter. I'd really like to see some more accessories for this. I'd love to see them sell these without any logos on them. I'd love to see them sell a reporter handle as well, similar to like what Rode and Godox make. Maybe an updated in the future charging case with a flip out bottom. You could put all the accessories in and put a higher quality 3.5mm cable in it. Other than that, there's not really a lot I would change about it all. I'd love to see them with their noise cancellation, not that I would use it, but maybe have it as like a slider or a percentage, so you can have it all the way from say 10% all the way up to 100%. So you can just add in just a tiny little bit, just to bring your voice a little bit more forward, and then I'd probably be a little bit more positive about it. So should you buy this over the DJI and the Rode? I think it's really hard priced up against the Rode. I would still always go with this. I'm a big fan of Rode products, but I would still go with this because of the form factor, okay? But the way the Rode is just constantly evolving through software, they're always adding features, they're listening to their, you know, customer base. So there is sort of that, you know, to be taken into account. DJI, £280, I think it's too expensive for what it is. It's a very good wireless mic system, but it's just too expensive for what it is, okay? I think the big pro with this is, as I would have mentioned at the beginning of the video, is how aggressive Anker price their products on like Prime Day sales and on Amazon and all of that stuff. So like I said, it's pretty much already available for £220 most of the time. If you're looking to buy this, just wait for a voucher. I can definitely see them dropping this down to less than 200 through like bank holiday weekends, you know, holidays, Christmas, all that sort of stuff. I can really see them lowering the price of this, and that's where this becomes very attractive. So yeah, I would pick it over it, but yeah, if this is going to be the only thing that you're going to use and you're just always going to be using the internal microphone, I would possibly consider the DJI or Rode over it, but this, it's just the form factor. Anyway, thank you if you made it to the end of the review. Make sure you leave a like, make sure you subscribe, and I'll be back with some more content very soon.